So we got ourselves a new franchise here, the Cape Breton Cooks. And why are we called the Cooks? Because this team's going to be cooking once we add a couple players to the team. As you can see right now, we're full of 0 overall players. But that's not going to last too long because we're going to add some players to this team. And who are we going to be adding to this team? NHL legends. Because I've gone ahead and added one legend to every NHL team. So every NHL team in the league is now better. But now we got to make our team better. So without further ado, it's time for us to spin a wheel. So we have a list of all of the NHL alumni teams on here. And Vegas, because Vegas technically has an alumni team. We're going to be starting with the St. Louis Blues. Still haven't gone over that playoff loss. I kind of have, but it's just funny to bring up. Now, I've already gone ahead and added a legend to the St. Louis Blues. And who is that legend? Well, of course, it's going to be Wayne Gretzky. I feel like that makes the most sense out of all the players available here. But when it comes to adding a player to the Cape Breton Cooks, who is it going to be? Well, we're going to be looking at Brett Hull. Brett Hull, a 92 overall sniper, one of the greatest St. Louis Blues of all time, if not the greatest. There is a very good argument for him being the greatest, and he probably is the greatest. But Brett Hull is now going to be joining the Cape Breton Cooks, and he's going to be the first player we're adding to the team here. So with the addition of Brett Hull, this is what the Cape Breton Cooks are going to be looking like. Brett Hull is going to lead the way, and that's all we have here. The rest of the team is full of 0 overalls. Brett Hull, let's see if you can score a couple goals this season. Considering your teammates are all 0 overalls, I wouldn't be surprised if you couldn't even take a shot with this team, but that's neither here nor there. So it's time for us to go ahead and simulate season number 1, and while we lose every game, and because I still haven't gone over the St. Louis Blues postseason loss, if you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel. We just lost 24-0 to the St. Louis Blues in the first game of the season. Yeah, it's tough luck. So yeah, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 82K by the end of the month. Now, there's actually a new twist that I haven't mentioned yet. Since this video is all about NHL legends, we want to see a handful of NHL legends, and honestly, this doesn't really work here. Okay, so what I was about to say is, the worst team every season that isn't the Cooks is going to be adding one additional legend to their team. But Utah finished second last, and I can't add a legend to Utah. So yeah, I guess we're not going to be adding a legend here. I also think for the sake of this video, the Cape Breton Cooks will now be replacing the Utah Hockey Club and not the San Jose Sharks, because I usually replace the San Jose Sharks with my created team since they're technically the worst team in the NHL. But for the sake of this video, Utah, you will be replaced because there's no legends I can add to your team. Never really considered that. Also, Brett Hull didn't even take a single shot this season. Nobody on the Cooks did anything. This team wasn't cooking whatsoever, but the Toronto Maple Leafs were the Stanley Cup champions, taking down the Vancouver Canucks in 7 games. But it's time for us to add a new player to our team. Now, before we go ahead and spin the wheel once again, we might as well take a look at how some of these legends did. Because in a video where I added one legend to every team, we might as well see how these legends did. So the LA Kings Wayne Gretzky is going to be picking up 130 points here, 74 goals and 56 assists. And then the Rangers Wayne Gretzky is going to be our next great player here, 70 goals and 60 helpers. Then we have another Wayne Gretzky. This Wayne Gretzky on the Edmonton Oilers, he's picking up 130 points. Then we're going to have Brett Hull with the Dallas Stars. He's picking up 71 goals and 55 assists for 126 points. Wayne Gretzky from the St. Louis Blues, he's picking up 70 goals as well. This is a goal scorers league right now. We have so many goal scorers picking up a ridiculous amount of points. It's kind of crazy. Joe Sakic, he's picking up 113 points with the Colorado Avalanche. Peter Forsberg, he's picking up 113 with the Nashville Predators. Mario Lemieux, surprisingly, only picking up 111 points with the Pittsburgh Penguins. We have to remember, he's playing alongside Sidney Crosby. And then Bobby Orr, he's going to be leading all defensemen with 110 points. Shouldn't really be surprised at that. Dale Hawerchuk is picking up 102 points. Sidney Crosby, 101. He wasn't a legend that we added to the team. Paul Coffey's picking up 101 points. And then Matt Sedin, you're going to be the final legend in the 100-point club as you're picking up 22 goals and 78 assists. So as we can see, the offense of the league right now, a little bit ridiculous. These legends have certainly changed things up. Also, Columbus, since I'm a good guy, you guys technically would have been dead last in the entire league if Utah wasn't there. So yeah, Columbus, I'm going to be adding another legend to your team. The Quebec Nordiques are going to be our next alumni team, so let's go pick up a legend from them. Now, the original legend that we brought to the team for the Columbus Blue Jackets was Adam Foote, the new head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. Now it's time for us to add another legend, considering they were the worst team in the entire league. And who's that legend going to be? Rick Nash, of course. Now, we get to add a player from the Quebec Nordiques, and I'm not really going to complain with that because we have a couple great options here. Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, Matt Sundin, Peter Stastny, Adam Foote. Like, there's a lot of great options here, but I think for the sake of this video, you always just take the best player available. So Joe Sakic, welcome to the team. Now, I'm not really too sure who's the coach of Cape Breton here, but what is bro cooking? Maybe we should play Brett Hull and Joe Sakic on the first line together. I think that's a good idea. Having these guys play on separate lines when the only other players other than these two guys are 0 overalls makes absolutely no sense. Why not try to stack the first line and have 1 0 overall alongside 2 90 overalls instead of having 2 0 overall players alongside 1 90 overall player? Nah, sometimes this game isn't cooking. Clearly our coach isn't cooking here, and he's the coach of the cooks. Yeah, that can't be happening. Now, it's no surprise that the Cape Breton Cooks are going to be finishing dead last, but we did score 18 goals this season, so at least we're putting the puck in the back of the net. The second worst team in the entire league is going to be the Washington Capitals, so that means they're going to be receiving an upgrade alongside the Cooks. But 18 goals for the Cooks this season, considering we really only have 2 players, you know what, I'll take it. Joe Sakic, 6 goals, 12 assists for 18 points. Brett Hull, 12 goals, 4 assists for 16 points. These guys showed up when we needed them to, and look at those shooting percentages. No, they should have just taken more shots this season and we clearly would have won a Stanley Cup. There's no flawed logic in that. Like, if each of those guys took 3,000 shots this season, we would have led the league in goals by probably about 600. But you know what? That didn't happen. The New Jersey Devils are Stanley Cup champions. They're taking down the Colorado Avalanche. I kind of want to see if anyone scored a goal per game. That is one thing that we're going to actually have to pay attention to this entire video, because after seeing season number 1 and how many 70 goal scorers there were, I think somebody might score 82 goals in 82 games. Nathan McKinnon had 73 this season, Wayne Gretzky had 72, and then another Wayne Gretzky had 71. So we didn't have any goal per game scores this season. But you know what? I think it will happen eventually. Now, 2 NHL legends clearly isn't going to be enough here, so let's go add another. And we're going to be adding one from the New York Rangers. More than likely it's going to be Mark Messier, but I actually take that back. We're actually probably going to pass up on Mark Messier because there's a king we want to bring to the team. So Washington, you finished second last, so clearly you need a bit more help on your team. Mike Gardner, welcome to the team. You're going to be joining Alexander Ovechkin and Adam Oates. Y'all have some pieces here for sure, but apparently it hasn't been enough so far. Now, I mentioned that we're going to be bringing a king to the team, and of course, I think we all know who I'm referencing. King Henrik, 90 overall. He would be an elite goaltender, but we have to understand there are actually better goaltenders out here. Like, if you look at the New Jersey Devils, we're looking at Marty Brodeur. If you go look at the Colorado Avalanche, of course, we're going to be looking at Patrick Waugh. So these guys are options here. And you know what? There is actually another guy that we can't forget about. If we look at the Nashville Predators, it's not going to be Pekka Rinne. Instead, it's going to be UC Saros. Yes, UC Saros is on the Nashville Predators alumni team. I don't understand it. I will never understand it. You are telling me for your alumni team, outside of UC Saros, you could only get the rights to one other goaltender. Okay, 2 other goaltenders. I guess they have Chris Mason's rights as well. Yeah, just get Pekka Rinne. Also, make Shea Weber higher than a 70 overall. I mean, technically he's a 70 overall because he's on Utah now. I don't even know which team he's on. He might be on the Ducks or the Blackhawks. Shea Weber is on somebody's team. I don't know whose team it is. Yeah, bro's been moving around. But with all that yapping out of the way, we got to bring someone to the team, and we're actually just going to bring in Mark Messier. Also, for clarification, Shea Weber is now on the Chicago Blackhawks. That's who owns his contract now. I couldn't remember who it was. I knew somebody owned it because he's been jumping around the league the past couple of years. Like, he went from Montreal to Vegas, Vegas to Utah, Utah to Chicago. Shea Weber's traveling across the NHL. Now, we've absolutely stacked up our top line here. Joe Sakic, Brett Hull, Mark Messier. We should be able to score goals this season. We won't win a game, though, because we're not going to keep pucks out of our own net. But with this line right here, yeah, we gotta be looking at least 50 goals. Now, it looks like the game is crashing here, but that doesn't mean we can't figure out who's in last place, because all we have to do is go over to the Pacific Division, and we're gonna see that the San Jose Sharks only have 24 points, which means they're technically in second last. The only team worse is Cape Breton. So not only is Cape Breton gonna be adding another player to the team, but the San Jose Sharks are also adding one, even though we're only like 30 games into the season. Now, Sharks fans, don't say I've never done anything nice for you guys, because I went out of my way to figure out who was second last in the entire league, and that was you guys. I could have easily said there's no team in second last this season because we didn't even get through this season, but I'm going out of my way to add a star player to your team, so y'all should thank me. Also, Cape Breton's going to be getting a player from the Blackhawks, and we might be walking away with our goaltender here, or Chris Chelios, one of the two. Now, San Jose, y'all better appreciate me, because I've already added Joe Thornton to the team, but now it's time to give Joe Thornton an elite sniper, and that sniper is going to be Teemu Selanne. So the Sharks are looking at 2 huge upgrades to the team, but it probably still won't be enough. Now, I said we might be bringing a goaltender to the team, and that's actually not the case here, because Glenn Hall's actually not available, so we're going to go with Chris Chelios instead. Now, the reason Glenn Hall overall isn't available is only 2 legendary goaltenders ended up being added to teams here. One of them, of course, was Glenn Hall, and why was that? Well, basically, the Chicago Blackhawks don't have a great starting goaltender. It's Soderblom. Soderblom's their starting goaltender, so that's an 11 overall difference. The other team that received an upgrade in between the pipes was the Montreal Canadiens, because Patrick Waugh, he's a 96 overall. The old starting goaltender being Montebolt was only an 84, so that's a 12 overall jump. If you want to add a legendary goaltender to your team, it had to make sense. Like using the Colorado Avalanche as an example, 96 overall Patrick Waugh would have been a stud for them, but they already have 86 overall Mackenzie Blackwood, and in NHL 25, truthfully, you don't need an elite starting goaltender. Mackenzie Blackwood can certainly serve the purpose and help this team win a Stanley Cup. The Chicago Blackhawks, on the other hand, I don't think they can win with 82 overall Soderblom, so yeah, they need an upgrade in between the pipes. But with all that being said, Chris Chelios, welcome to Cape Breton. You're going to help us win a Stanley Cup here, or win one game, one of the two. Now, Chris Chelios, I think you should be honored. And why should you be honored? Well, you get to play with the likes of Trevor Corey. Trevor Corey, he's one of one. Like, I've met cats and dogs smarter than Trevor Corey here, but that's who you get to play alongside. You should feel honored. Okay, I want you guys to remember, we have 4 players on this team. We were over a goal per game this season. The Cape Breton Cooks were absolutely cooking. 90 goals this season, 1.1 goals per game. The Ducks were the second worst team, so they're going to be receiving an upgrade. But Cape Breton really did that. Mark Messier, 81 points this season. Brett Hall, 74. Joe Sakic, 72. And the guy that changed all of this, Chris Chelios. Chris Chelios allowed a bit more support on our back end, and because of that, these guys are seeing a lot of success here. Although we haven't won a Stanley Cup, and our goalies' numbers continue to look atrocious, the fact that we're over a goal per game and we've only added 4 players, that's a great sign for the future. The Dallas Stars are Stanley Cup champions. They're taking down the New York Rangers, but the Ducks need to get an upgrade, and that upgrade is actually the exact same player that we add to the San Jose Sharks. Before we add that player, though, we got to figure out who we're adding to our team, and it looks like we're going to be adding a player from the Columbus Blue Jackets. That is absolutely not what I wanted. Now, the legend that was added to the Ducks was Scott Niedermayer, but now it's time to add a player who was added to the San Jose Sharks. Teemu Selanne is also going to be joining the Ducks. So Teemu Selanne is on the Ducks, he's on the San Jose Sharks. It's similar to Wayne Gretzky being on 4 different teams. Now, I'm not too happy with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and you might be thinking, well, why wouldn't I be happy with this team? I get to add Rick Nash to the team. I could even add Adam Foote. Yeah, well, those guys aren't on the team anymore. This is what we're left with. Since Rick Nash and Adam Foote have already been added to the Columbus Blue Jackets, we can't select them. So yeah, we're going to be walking away with Scott Hartnell instead. So why am I taking Scott Hartnell over Michael Pika? Well, basically, Scott Hartnell is a left winger, and we don't have a left winger yet. It's as simple as that. Now, we've added 4 forwards and 1 defenseman to the team, but there's one thing we haven't added yet, and that's a goaltender. And I think we should keep our eye out for a goaltender, because we could desperately use one of those. It doesn't matter how good this team looks on paper, until we get a goaltender, we're not going to be winning any games. Now, Scott Hartnell, I understand you're not the same caliber as the other players we brought to the team. Like, you're only an 84 overall. Everyone else we brought in has been at least a 90 overall. But you're telling me with the addition of Scott Hartnell, we're only going to score an extra 6 goals this season. Scott Hartnell is only going to help us score 6 more goals? That's not right. That's not right whatsoever. That's actually incredibly disrespectful to Scott Hartnell. Then again, he is only picking up 12 points this season, and he was on a line with a bunch of 0 overalls. So maybe I just had too high of expectations for him. But the Cape Breton Cooks weren't cooking this season, dead last in the entire league. The Calgary Flames are Stanley Cup champions, and who gets an upgrade this time? The Washington Capitals again. Somehow this team was second last. I don't get it. Like, seriously, I've added 2 legends to the Washington Capitals, and they already have a ton of great players. Dominik Hasek, welcome to the team. But yeah, Washington, y'all got to get it together. Now, apparently for the Washington Capitals, Alexander Ovechkin, Mike Gardner, Adam Oates, John Carlson, Dylan Strome, and Logan Thompson isn't enough to not be second last in the entire league. So Sergey Gonchar, can you save this team? Probably not. I think there's something fundamentally wrong with them. Like, this team is way too good to be constantly finishing second last in the entire league. That's just not right. So Dominik Hasek, if I were to decide we're bringing you to the team, 93 overall, that's a game changer. We got ourselves a superstar in between the pipes. We actually might win a game this season. Dominik Hasek's going to pick up 1 or 2 shutouts. Even though there's only 5 players in front of him that can actually play defense, he's still going to pick up a shutout because he's that guy. So Dominik Hasek, you're going to be the game changer for us. You're what's going to spark this rebuild, and you're the guy that's going to help us win a Stanley Cup. Unless we get Patrick Waugh in the future, then he'll be the guy that helps us win a Stanley Cup. But until then, Dominik Hasek's the guy for us. Now, we've prayed for times like this. The Cape Breton Cooks, a 179-2 record. We want a game game in regulation. This team showed up when it mattered. The Chicago Blackhawks, second last in the entire league, so they're going to be receiving an upgrade. We only scored 92 goals this season, so the offense actually took a step back, but the defense was significantly better because of Dominik Hasek. Dominik Hasek is going to be saving the day for us. I need to look at his numbers. I don't care about what the offense did this season. Dominik Hasek, 1 win, 56 losses, 2 overtime losses, a 905 and a 540. I gotta give respect where respect is due. Considering the team in front of you, these are incredible numbers. Like, bro almost faced 4,000 shots. Let's compare that to the rest of the league. What is the rest of the league looking at? Well, Connor Hellebuyck, he faced 2,100. Jeremy Swayman faced the second most with 2,300. Dominik Hasek faced 1,600 more shots than the rest of these guys. He was that dominant. He faced 1,600 more shots and only allowed about 170 more goals. Dominik Hasek's 1 of 1. He's going to turn this franchise around, but we still have to go add some players because this team is still cooked. They're not cooking, they're cooked. So Chicago's going to have to receive an upgrade because they were second last in the entire league, but we're going to be receiving a player for the Boston Bruins. I wish Brodeur was still around, because man, that would have been an incredible addition. So Glenn Hall has already been added to the Chicago Blackhawks. Now Chris Chelios, I guess you can be added to the Blackhawks now. Like, we were able to claim Chris Chelios before he was sent over to the Blackhawks, so we're allowed to keep him on the team. But that doesn't mean Chicago can't take him from their alumni. So Chris Chelios, welcome back to Chicago, I guess. Now I really want to bring Bobby Orr to the team, but that's just not an option. So we're gonna have to sell for Ray Bourque. Ray Bourque's gonna be joining the team. If only that was Bobby Orr. But no, let's not act like this is a terrible addition. The defense is looking elite with Ray Bourque and Chris Chelios now. Now I'm happy to say with the addition of Ray Bourque, we can finally run a full 5-man lineup. We have Joe Sakic, Mark Messier, and Brett Hull when it comes to the first line. Then when it comes to the defense, we got Ray Bourque and Chris Chelios. And I guess you could say we actually have 6 players that we can run because Dominik Hasek's going to be in between the pipes. So at certain moments during the game, we're going to have 6 actual NHL players on the ice. You'd love to see it. So Ray Bourque, I'm not going to lie, I thought you were going to make this team a lot better than what we were. But yeah, 0 regulation wins this season. We did have 2 wins, so that is an improvement. We scored 108 goals, but I really thought we were going to be better. Calgary, they're going to be second last in the entire league, so that means they're going to be picking up a new player. And if you think me adding these new players to these bad teams doesn't really help them too much, well, it certainly does, because who won the Stanley Cup this season? The Columbus Blue Jackets. Who have the Columbus Blue Jackets added to their team? Well, they've added Adam Foote and they've added Rick Nash. I think the biggest surprise is the fact that the Washington Capitals still aren't making the playoffs. What more could you guys possibly need? Like, seriously, Washington, do I just need to give you every player on your alumni team? Because you should be significantly better than this. The Philadelphia Flyers are going to be the team that we're selecting from. Before we add that player, though, Calgary has to get their upgrade. Now, the first legend that the Calgary Flames add to the team was Joe McGinley. Now it's time for them to pick up another legend. This one's going to be Al McGinnis. So we got Iginla and McGinnis on the team. They should be able to start turning things around. Now, when it comes to the Philadelphia Flyers, I think we're going to be adding Chris Pronger to the team because Lindros isn't going to be there. He's already on the Philadelphia Flyers. Never mind, no, he isn't. Who did I add to the Philadelphia Flyers then? So Eric Lindros will bring you to the team. Maybe I added Chris Pronger to the Philadelphia Flyers. Maybe I got him mixed up. Chris Pronger, did I add you to the Philadelphia Flyers? Maybe I did. He might be a higher overall and that's why I did. Nope, they're the exact same overall. I just decided to add Chris Pronger to the Flyers. Okay, that works for me. Eric Lindros, welcome to our team. Now, I was fully convinced I added Eric Lindros to the Philadelphia Flyers. I guess I went with Chris Pronger instead. I mean, I'm not really going to complain about that because that means we get to bring Lindros to our team. But yeah, I was the guy that added all these legends to every NHL team. And then here we are like an hour later, and I don't recall who I put on what team. But you know what? It's the way she goes. It doesn't really matter too much. The Cooks are about to cook this season. Now, when I said the Cooks would be cooking, I wasn't lying. The Cape Breton Cooks. Okay, Columbus, what's going on? I was going to talk about how the Cooks have been cooking. Columbus, you just won the Stanley Cup last season. Now you're second last in the entire league, and it's time for us to add another legend to your team. How many more legends does this team need? It's getting ridiculous. Brett Hull, 93 points here. Mark Messier, 79. But I was trying to gas up the Cooks for absolutely cooking here. Dominik Hasek, 8 wins in 1 shot, a 915 and a 440, facing 3,771 shots, and he had a 915 save percentage. Bro is built different. He made more saves than every other goaltender in the league face shots. That's how good Dominik Hasek's been. Now, I almost got a little too far ahead of myself. Now, I haven't shown you the top goal scorer in the league for the past couple seasons because nobody's been close to a goal per game until now. Wayne Gretzky, of all players, of course, it's going to be Wayne Gretzky, 80 goals in 82 games. He was 2 goals shy of a goal per game. Besides this season right here, we haven't seen anything crazy. Like, we've seen a couple guys be above 70. I think the most we've seen was that Nathan McKinnon year where he picked up like 73 or 74. Outside of that, nothing wild until now. Wayne Gretzky, 80 goals in 82 games. We actually might be getting close to that goal per game mark. Wayne Gretzky just 2 goals away. I'm actually a little surprised it's the LA Kings Gretzky and not the Edmonton Oilers Gretzky, because you have to remember, Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. That's a line. Yeah, the fact that team hasn't been winning more Stanley Cups is a bit ridiculous. But there's clearly something more ridiculous than that, and that's the fact that the Columbus Blue Jackets are the biggest frauds in the NHL right now. They really need another legend. That's ridiculous. Also, we get to pick up somebody from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not too sure who that's going to be. So this team has been so bad that we've already added 2 legends to their team. They went ahead and won a Stanley Cup, and then went back to being second last in the entire league. Michael Pika, I guess I'm going to bring you to the team. I don't even know where you would play a role on this team. Like, you're a grinder, and I hate grinders. I think grinders are the worst player type that you could possibly have. Like, just looking at this guy, how is he really going to help Columbus? So he doesn't have great puck skills, doesn't have the greatest senses in the world, and he can't really shoot the puck. What is Bro going to do other than play good defense and throw hits? Basically nothing. So yeah, I really don't know how you're going to help a team in a video game. Now, of course, in real life, bottom 6 checkers do actually hold their legit role, but this isn't real life. This is a video game. This is NHL 25, and bottom 6 checkers, they really have no role on my team. Like, what are they actually going to do to help me? Like, instead of having a bottom 6 checker, I'm just going to build some elite team where I'm going to have 89 overall Logan Stankoven playing third line minutes for me. I'd rather have 89 overall Logan Stankoven than some 81 overall grinder that can't shoot the puck or pass the puck. But yeah, and saying all that, Frank Mahovlich, welcome to the team. You're going to be our addition from the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we officially have ourselves a top 6 here, but you know what? I think we got to start working on the defense a little bit more. Like, right now we only have 1 defensive pairing, and then when it comes to goaltending, it really wouldn't hurt to bring a backup goalie to the team. Like, Johnny Bower would have been a great selection, but you know what? We didn't take Johnny Bower because Dominik Hasek's our man. Alright, we legit have to start focusing on defense here. The defense isn't good enough on this team. We might have won 8 games this season, and we might have scored 150 goals, but we're allowing way too many. Like, we allowed almost 500 goals this season. That's not acceptable. The defense has to be better. And Philly, you have a defenseman I would like, Chris Pronger. Unfortunately, we can't get Chris Pronger, and now you're going to be adding Eric Lindros to the team. Brett Hull, 83 points this season. Mark Messier, 68. Joe Sakic, 64. But we don't care about our scoring. We got to find out if there was any goal per game scores this season, and it doesn't look like it. Wayne Gretzky, 73 goals. And that's going to be the most. So the Cooks are taking steps in the right direction here. However, it's still not enough. We got to bring in some elite defensemen, and that's what we're going to do with this next spin. Who is an elite defenseman I want? Like, the best case scenario here, we get the Detroit Red Wings with our next spin. We pass up on Gordie Howe, and we bring Nick Lidstrom to the team. But do I really want to pass up on Gordie Howe? Like, if that happens, do I want to pass up on Gordie Howe? Okay, this makes things interesting, because there's a really good goaltender on the New Jersey Devils. We don't need a goaltender, but I would like him. So as I mentioned earlier, Eric Lindros, you're going to be joining the Philadelphia Flyers. You already have Chris Pronger, but now it's time for the important selection, and a bit of a controversial one. Alright, I'm taking back that statement. This isn't really much of a controversial decision, because I completely forgot about something. Number 1, the New Jersey Devils have already lost their best defenseman. Scott Niedermayer has already left the New Jersey Devils alumni to join the New Jersey Devils. The other thing I forgot, Scott Stevens actually isn't in NHL 25. So yeah, the next best defenseman is like an 84 overall. I don't want to bring an 84 overall defenseman to the team. So yeah, we're going to go with Marty Brodeur here, 94 overall. He's going to be the other goaltender we add to the team here. You know what? I like our tandem. We're going to have Marty Brodeur as the starter, Dominik Hasek as the backup. That's a tandem we can win with for sure. So goaltending set for the rest of the video. We don't have to worry about that. We got Marty Brodeur, we got Dominik Hasek. No worries there. I am worried about one thing though, and that's our defense. We only have 2 defensemen here. That's not going to cut it. Now, with the addition of Marty Brodeur not having any 0 overall goaltenders, I thought we'd be looking at more than 10 wins. 10 wins isn't bad considering this team, like a 10-67-5 record could be a lot worse, but I thought it would be better. Like, imagine being the Columbus Blue Jackets. Like, you've added 3 legends to the team and you're still one of the worst in the entire league. How does that even happen? Nashville's going to be the worst team, so they're going to be receiving an upgrade. Brett Hull, 97 points, Mark Messier, 82. But when it comes to our goaltending, how do our goalies look this season? Marty Brodeur, 9 wins, a 910 to 425. Meanwhile, Dominik Hasek, only 1 win this season, a 909 to 442. I mean, our goaltending was great here. I guess we just didn't score enough goals. So as good as goaltending was, we just weren't good enough offensively. So you know what that means? Let's add defensemen to the team. We have to get better defensively. I've mentioned that a million times so far. Even though the offense let us down, we need defense. So give me the Detroit Red Wings so I can bring Nick Lindros to the team. That would be perfect. Carolina will do, I guess. Now, before we pick up a defenseman from the Carolina Hurricanes, a defenseman's going to be joining the Nashville Predators, and that defenseman's going to be PK Subban. 87 overall. Subban, welcome back to NHL 25. I actually completely forgot you were in NHL 25. I know you weren't in NHL 24, but yeah, I completely forgot you were at to NHL 25. So that was a nice surprise, I guess. Now, the cooks are definitely going to be cooking after this next edition. The Carolina Hurricanes are going to be giving us not a defenseman. There is no way this team is giving me a defenseman. Jim Brown, I'm assuming your name is Jim. Nope, it's Jeff. Jeff Brown, I am not bringing you to the team. That is not happening. Ron Francis, I guess we're going with you. Like, you know who would have been a great addition? Paul Coffey. Wouldn't Paul Coffey be a great defenseman to add? Too bad he's already on the Carolina Hurricanes. Not the Carolina Hurricanes alumni, but the actual Carolina Hurricanes, because that was the legend that we added to this team. Instead, we get to walk away with another forward in Ron Francis. I mean, I'm not going to complain about a 9-2 overall, but yeah, Paul Coffey would have been significantly better for what we need. Now, right now, everyone in the top 6 is over a 90 overall, but when it comes to the defense, we have to work on this. No matter what happens, no matter which team we land on with our next spin, we're bringing a defenseman to the team. I don't care if it's an 82 overall defenseman, we're bringing in a defenseman with our next spin. Now, until we upgrade the defense here, I really don't think the Cape Breton Cooks are going to be seeing a lot of success. The Montreal Canadiens were second last, so it looks like they're going to be adding another legend to the team, but I do want to point out the offense between us and the Montreal Canadiens. It really wasn't too far off. It was only an 18 goal difference. We have 2 lines, they have an entire team, but they were only able to score 18 more goals, so we're just a couple players away from competing with the worst in the entire league. Brett Hull, 58 goals, he had 94 points, Mark Messier, 76, Joe Sakic, 75, so we're moving in the right direction here. The goaltending was great from this team. However, Dominik Hasek, I need you to be a little bit better. An 894, these are the worst numbers of your career so far. Since joining our team, those are the worst numbers I've seen, and we just can't have that. The Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions. Montreal is going to be adding another legend, but so are we. Now let's just pray that we land on the Detroit Red Wings and I can add Nick Lindros to the team. That would be ideal. The Ottawa Senators aren't too bad because we should be able to get Zdeno Chara. Now before we add Zdeno Chara, somebody has to be added over to Montreal, and that's going to be Jean Beliveau. So Jean Beliveau is going to be joining the team. He's going to be replacing Nick Suzuki on that top line, but then again, Nick Suzuki might just play some right wing minutes. Then they're going to rock Jean Beliveau, Nick Suzuki, and Cole Caulfield. I think you can work with that. Alright, now Zdeno Chara should be available here unless something stupid happened. We're adding Zdeno Chara to the team. Where is Zdeno Chara? He's not here. Alright, Sergey Gonchar, we're adding you to the team. Is Zdeno Chara already on the Ottawa Senators? He might be. I'm going to assume that Zdeno Chara has already been moved over. Yes, he has. Okay, for a second, I thought Zdeno Chara wasn't available at all. I was just thinking they didn't put him on the Ottawa Senators alumni, but they did. Sergey Gonchar, I'm perfectly fine with that selection. 89 overall. He's certainly going to be a great defenseman for us. No, but for a second there, I was incredibly worried. I didn't think we were going to be getting a defenseman. But luckily we got Gonchar, so we're alright. So Sergey Gonchar, welcome to the team. You're going to be joining Ray Bourque and Chris Chelios. We're building an elite defense here. We just need a couple more pieces. Also, at the rate we're scoring goals here, we honestly might only need a top 6. Like, we have an elite top 6 right now, and as long as we surround those guys with a couple really good defensemen, we might not need anything else. Now, with the addition of Sergey Gonchar, clearly our team isn't going to be worse. Like, there's no way the Cape Breton Cooks are going to be worse after adding Sergey Gonchar to the team. Well, that's what a logical person would think. Nope, we got worse. We added Sergey Gonchar to the team. Sergey Gonchar replaced a 0 overall player, and this man right here made us worse. Now, what's going on here? Because that's absolutely ridiculous. On to next season. San Jose's getting an upgrade as well. But what did I just witness? No, like that's actually ridiculous. Like bro replaced a 0 overall player and it still wasn't good enough. The Minnesota North Stars are going to be our next alumni team. Mike Modano, I'm looking at you. No, but real talk, what did I just witness? How did Sergey Gonchar make us that bad? Like that shouldn't even be possible. Rob Blake, you're going to be joining the San Jose Sharks. You're giving them a bit more support, I guess. No, like I'm really having trouble processing what just happened. Like that man really made us worse. Sergey Gonchar really made us a worse team after replacing a 0 overall player. How does that work? Now, Mike Gardner, we could go with you, but I want Mike Modano on the team, so we're bringing in Mike Modano. That's just the way it is. We could go with another defenseman in Larry Murphy, and maybe that's the right selection. Like, we bring in another defenseman, then we have 2 complete defensive lines here, but no, I want Mike Modano. Alright, now I'm starting to think Mike Modano might have been the wrong selection, because we almost have 3 complete forward lines, which is going to be 9 forwards after we get 1 more. So right now we have 8. When it comes to defensemen, we have 3. Yeah, we should fix that. Now, the impossible might have happened this season. We might have finished second last in the NHL. Not quite. We were 11 points back at the Calgary Flames. We finished with a 28-50-4 record. Our offense wasn't looking too bad here. 221 goals scored. Was that the worst? Yes, it was, but only by 10 goals. The Columbus Blue Jackets only scored 10 more goals than us. Another player here is going to make a huge difference. The Calgary Flames are going to be receiving an upgrade, but once we add another defenseman, we're going to be unstoppable. Brett Hull's 68 goals. He was +4 this season, so we finally had somebody with a positive plus-minus. Goaltending was looking a lot better this season. Marty Brodeur has a save percentage of a 911, but he has a goals against of a 389, so we finally have a goals against below 4 here. Things are looking really good, but when it comes to the league leading goal scorer, did we see somebody averaging a goal per game here? It doesn't look like it. Brett Hull is going to lead the way with the Dallas Stars. He's picking up 72 goals, so unfortunately it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing a goal per game goal scorer here. The Boston Bruins are Stanley Cup champions. That's going to be Cape Breton sooner than later. Like, all we have to do is spin this wheel, land on the Detroit Red Wings, bring Lindstrom to the team. Instead, we get the Washington Capitals, and this is actually a terrible selection. Now, the Washington Capitals are literally one of the worst teams we could have landed on. Theo Fleury, you're going to be joining the Calgary Flames. But we have to remember, there's already been a handful of guys that have left the Washington Capitals, and I believe one of the best remaining players is Gonchar. Well, we already have him on the team. So yeah, we're in tough. Sergey Gonchar also might have already been added, who knows. Also, just for confirmation, Sergey Gonchar has already been added to the Washington Capitals. So Sergey Gonchar, Mike Gardner, Adam Oates, I can't select any of these guys. So yeah, we might be in tough here. So Washington, are there any great pieces remaining on your team? Larry Murphy. Okay, I could have selected Larry Murphy from the Minnesota North Stars, but I passed up on him. And clearly that was the right decision because we were able to add him from the Washington Capitals. That works out for us. Like, if we selected Larry Murphy from the Minnesota North Stars, that means we would have been walking away with Pronger here. Pronger's not a terrible player, 87 overall. He had himself a pretty solid career. But yeah, taking Mike Modano, certainly the right decision. So we only have 2 defensive slots remaining here. Gonchar and Larry Murphy are going to hold down the second pairing. Mordecai and Corey Trevor are going to be holding it down the third pairing. This isn't great line chemistry right here. Like, if we're going to have Corey Trevor, we need to have Trevor Corey. But you know what? The coach wants to run this, and that's the wrong decision, but we're going to have to live with it. Okay, there is no way we're dead last this season. I know for a fact our team was good enough to not be dead last. You're kidding me. A 33-47-2 record isn't good enough for second last in the entire league. The Ducks are getting an upgrade. They don't deserve it. Those Ducks don't deserve an upgrade because we actually outscored them this season. We scored 32 more goals than the Ducks did. The only thing holding us back is our terrible defense. We just have way too many 0 overalls still, but no, there's no way the Cape Breton Cooks weren't completely cooking this season. Like, Brett Hull had 71 goals. He might have led the league in goals with 71. Well, technically he did lead the league in goals, but it wasn't our Brett Hull, it was the Dallas Stars Brett Hull. He had 78 goals. Our Brett Hull only had 71. But the point still stands. The Cape Breton Cooks were absolutely cooking this season. There is no way we're dead last in the entire league. We're better than that. The Dallas Stars are Stanley Cup champions. One more player is all we need. We need one more player, and then we're not dead last in the entire league. No, but in all seriousness, how are we still dead last in the entire league? There's no way we're still dead last. San Jose is actually one of the last teams I want to land on here. We've already added like 3 or 4 legends to the current San Jose Sharks, so they don't have too much left. Scott Niedermayer, Teemu Selanne, you need a bit more help. So I'll give you Chris Pronger. You three guys, along with what the Anaheim Ducks already have, are good enough for about 4th last in the entire league. Alright, now who's left from the San Jose Sharks alumni? Because they've lost a handful of players. Jeremy Roenick's still here. I mean, that's a pretty solid pickup. But I know for a fact we can get better forwards than 90 overall. When it comes to defensemen, I mean, 88 overall defenseman would help a ton. Dan Boyle, we might be going with you here. I know you're an offensive defenseman. We don't really need more offensive defensemen here, but we just need defensemen in general. So yeah, we're passing up on Jeremy Roenick. So we're one defenseman away from completing our defensive core here, and once we add one more defenseman, I think we're going to be unstoppable. Our defense is just going to be too elite. Our offense is already amazing. We're just missing one more defenseman. Well, Cape Breton certainly didn't finish dead last this season, but this actually hurts a little bit more. Where did we finish? 20th in the entire league, a 39, 36, and 7 record. That's not too bad. But how far out of the postseason were we? 2 points. We were 2 points away from making the playoffs. Now that's heartbreaking right there. We could have made the playoffs with 5 defensemen and 8 forwards, but nope, we were 2 points away. So all that tells me is we need one more player. One more player is going to make the difference here. Whether it's a forward or a defenseman, doesn't matter. We're one player away. Goaltending was spectacular this season. Marty Brodeur almost had a 920. Dominik Hasek, he had a 912. Now, both of our goaltenders were standing on their heads this season. Without these guys, we certainly wouldn't be in the spot we're in. Ain't no way the Buffalo Sabres just won. The Buffalo Sabres are Stanley Cup champions. Okay, this is just out of hand. Also, I didn't even see who was dead last in the entire league. Who needs to add a new player to the team? It's probably the Columbus Blue Jackets or the Ducks. Never mind, it's going to be the Philadelphia Flyers. Nah, but we're really close. Like, we're just one player away from making the postseason. We're landing on the Calgary Flames. Unfortunately, they've already added a handful of legends to their active team, but that doesn't mean we're going to be walking away with a bad player. So this is going to be the 3rd legend that we've added to the Philadelphia Flyers, and this team really can't figure it out. Jeremy Roenick, you're going to be joining the team now. So you have Chris Pronger, Lindros, Jeremy Roenick, and that's only good enough for dead last. Now that's tough. So the Calgary Flames still have a handful of great legends that we can add, and Phil Housley is one of those legends. Alright, that's who we're going with here. Phil Housley, welcome to the team. That's a no-brainer. Our defensive core is now complete. We're just looking to add forwards from here on out. Now our defense is complete here, and I couldn't ask for a better defense. The lowest overall is Dan Boyle at an 88 overall. I'm going to put Larry Murphy on the second pairing just because he has more X factors. Does that make a difference? Probably not. But we have an elite team here, and we're going to rock this team. Actually, Sergey Gonchar, you're moving up to the second pairing. You're 1 overall higher than these 2 guys right here. So yeah, I think this makes the most sense. Now, it might have taken till the final game of the season, but we won the most important games, and the Cape Breton Cooks are in the postseason. A 42, 36, and 4 record was good enough here, and this team's ready to compete. We might not be the best team in the world, but we have a ton of legends, and these legends are going to show up when it matters most. Brett Hull, 124 points. Mark Messier, 97. Joe Sakic, 75. Ron Francis picking up 73 here. We had some big time performers on this team. Marty Brodeur was one of them. But hold on, maybe we should start Dominik Hasek because he had 13 wins this season. One showed a 922 and a 279. Maybe he should be our guy. But you know what? Marty Brodeur was the start of the entire season. We're going to continue to rock with Marty Brodeur here. But we do have to check goal scoring real quick. Do we have a goal per game score? It doesn't look like it. Wayne Gretzky, 73 goals. That's clearly not 82 goals in 82 games. We're taking on the Dallas Stars in the first round. I'm really not expecting the Cooks to do too much here, but if we can go on a deep run, why not? Like, at the end of the day, when it comes to this team, we still have 4-0 overalls in the bottom 6, and that's what's going to cost us here. It wasn't the top 6, it wasn't the defense, it wasn't the goaltending, it was those 4-0 overalls on the bottom 6. That's the reason we got swept here. But then again, getting swept is kind of crazy. Brett Hull, 6 points. No, we really went out like that. Also, I guess it wouldn't hurt to see who's dead last in the entire league, and that's the Nashville Predators, so they're going to receive an upgrade. So Nashville was dead last. We snuck into the wild card, but we got swept. But now we're adding a player from the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that's going to change everything. Probably not, but you know what? A man can dream. Now, clearly, we can't add UC Saros to the Nashville Predators. We can't duplicate a player here, so that means we're going to have to go with 85 overall Barrett Jackman. He's going to be the player joining the Nashville Predators. Now, we might not be able to bring Martin St. Louis to the team, but you know what? We're going to go with Dennis Savard instead. I don't think we're really suffering too much here. 90 overall Dennis Savard. I think we'll survive with him. Now, realistically, I think we're set here. We have 3 elite lines we can run. Like, the lowest overall is Scott Hartnell when it comes to our top 9. We have a 4th line that's absolutely terrible, full of 0 overalls. But we got 3 amazing forward lines, 3 great defensive pairings, and 2 amazing goaltenders. We don't need a 4th line here. All right, all those things I said about us not needing a 4th line, we need a fourth line here. 10th in the entire league, a 44, 33, and 5 record. So we did improve from last season. But yeah, 10th in the entire league probably isn't winning us a Stanley Cup. Nashville, I literally just gave you another legend and you're still dead last. No, that team's in the trenches right now. Mark Messier is going to lead the way. He had 89 points. What happened to Brett Hull? Bro completely fell off. He had like 50 less points this season. No, this team is full of frauds. Marty Brodeur, 31 wins, 1 shutout, a 908 and a 321. I'm going to need you to step up here. The team's not performing as they should. The offense has completely vanished for us. Did the offense vanish for the entire league, though? Or do we have a goal per game scorer? Wayne Gretzky, 75 goals. He was 7 goals off, so he's getting close. But you know what? I just don't think we're going to see a goal per game score. We have to take on Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. This is going to be a pretty quick series. Like, if at any moment those 3 guys are on the ice and we have 0 overall players on the ice, no, we're really not going to stand a chance. But we're winning game number 1. We've dropped 2 in a row. We split the series with Edmonton. If we can get past Edmonton, I'm actually going to believe in this team. We're winning game number 5, 8-3. What is going on now with the Cooks? Are we cooking? We got game 7. Last postseason, we didn't win any games. Now we're in game number 7 against the Edmonton Oilers, who are arguably a better team. Ray Bourque's picking up a goal for us. Yeah, this game's over. We don't have to go period by period. We're allowing 7 goals here. And I can guarantee you 6 of those goals were scored on our 4th line. That's just the way it works. But you know what? The team's taking steps in the right direction. I don't hate what we're doing here. Brett Hull, he had 10 points, 6 goals, 4 assists. The team wasn't performing that bad. I can only assume it was our 4th line. It was our 4th line. -8, -8, -7. Yeah, the second we replace these guys, we're going to be all right. Also, Marty Brodeur, you did what you could with that 4th line in front of you. So we just need 3 more forwards here. Give me the Detroit Red Wings, because then we can bring in Gordie Howe. The Vegas Golden Knights. Now you might be thinking, well, Vegas clearly can't have an alumni team. They haven't been around long enough. Well, they technically do, but it's not an alumni team. Before we take a look at Vegas, though, we have to give Nashville another player because they were dead last in the entire league. I don't know how many players this team needs, but here's another legend. There's no way you're going to need 4 legends, right? Like, that just shouldn't be possible. This team is good enough to not be dead last. All right, so this is the Vegas Golden Knights alumni team. It's the Vegas Golden Knights icons. Now, I was under the impression the icons were just the misfits. Like, it was just all the players from year number 1, whether they were picked up in the expansion draft, trade for along the way. That's what I thought this team was. And then I saw one player that definitely didn't fit here. Max Pacioretty. Like, they traded Tom Tatar and Nick Suzuki for him. So Max Pacioretty clearly wasn't a misfit. So I don't know what this team is. Like, I feel like 99% of these guys are misfits. And then there's Max Pacioretty. See, I don't really know what the Vegas Golden Knights icons are here. But Alex Tuch is going to be joining our team of legends. We're going to have a team of legends and Alex Tuch. So shout out to him, I guess. So here we go. It's all NHL legends here and Alex Tuch. I don't know how we've made to this point. I guess Scott Hartnell was also here, and technically Alex Tuch is a higher overall than Scott Hartnell. But no, NHL legend Scott Hartnell. It's legends and Alex Tuch. It's kind of a wild scenario here, but you know what? It's just the way it is. This is the team we're rocking. Hopefully we can see a bit more improvement. So it turns out we didn't need a 4th line. We just needed 1 player on the 4th line. 2nd in the entire league, a 51, 22, and 9 record. The Cooks are ready to cook here. This team has been cooking all season long, and they're ready to win when it matters most. Brett Hull, 117. Mark Messier, 102. Joe Sakic, 101. We had 3 100-point scorers on this team, and with Marty Brodeur in between the pipes, no one's going to stop us. There is nobody in the NHL right now that can compete with the Cooks, except for the Dallas Stars, because technically they were the only team better than us. And then Brett Hull on our team scored 83 goals, and somehow I didn't notice. I didn't realize bro scored 83 goals. I saw he had 117 points, and I just assumed, yeah, there's no way he's scoring 83 goals. I didn't even look at his goal total, but this man really scored 83 goals, and I completely neglected him. Ain't no way. Stick on the ice is a massive clown for that. We're playing the Winnipeg Jets. How did I miss this man scoring 83 goals? No, that might be the biggest stick on the ice L in history. We've been waiting for a goal per game score only to get swept in the first round. Okay, we're going to be winning game number 4, but we're not going out like this. We went out like this. We finally had a goal per game score. Brett Hull was the guy for us. And we went out like that to the Winnipeg Jets of all teams. I'm sick. I don't even care who was dead last in the entire league. No one's getting an upgrade here except for us. No, what kind of a disaster class was that? We finally had a goal per game score, and then we get the Minnesota Wild alumni team. Ain't no way. nothing's going our way right now. No, I'm sick to my stomach, I really am. We finally had a goal per game score. It was Brett Hull on the Cape Breton Cooks. We had somebody cooking all season. And who do we get to add? Jared Spurgeon or Mikael Granlund or Jason Zucker? Here's our best options right now. Now, the Minnesota Wild really just don't have an alumni team. That's crazy. Like, this is absolutely cooked right here. Like, respectfully, if you're going to put, like, Jason Zucker, Mikael Granlund, Jared Spurgeon, just throw Kaprizov on this. Yeah, maybe he hasn't played as many years as these guys, but just throw him on there. Alright, so we've almost filled out our entire team here. We only have one 0 overall player left. Even though we have a 0 overall player, I don't see why this team wouldn't be able to win a Stanley Cup this season. Like, there's no reason we can't. Now, the Cooks were cooking this season, first in the entire league. The Chicago Blackhawks were second. That's very interesting, but we had the best offense in the league. We probably had the best defense. No, we didn't, but it was probably a top 3 defense. Our defense was the 3rd best in the entire league. We have all the pieces we need here. Brett Hull, 136 points. Did he have 82 goals? Yes, he did. Back-to-back seasons where he's been a goal per game player. We have to win this season. We can't fold. Marty Brodeur's been playing amazing. Everyone on this team has looked spectacular. We have the LA Kings in the first round. The Cooks are going to close it out here. I can guarantee it. So all we have to do is win 16 games in the playoffs. We can definitely do that. But we dropped the first 3 games. We did not just drop the first 3 games. No, that didn't happen. Spin the wheel. At this point, I don't even care who's last in the entire league. They're not receiving upgrades anymore. We land on the Montreal Canadiens. This is the perfect team to land on because they got a ton of legends. So with this next edition, we're officially going to have a full team here. We're not going to need any more players after this. Maurice Rocket Richard, welcome to the team. 94 overall. You're going to be one of the highest overall players on this team, and you're going to be the difference maker. You're going to help us win a Stanley Cup. Okay, there's no excuses. It's 90 overalls on our first line, second line, and third line. We have all 90 overalls in the top 9 here. No excuses. The defense looking amazing here. No excuses. Goaltending looking amazing. Just don't lose in the first round. How have we not gone out of the first round? It's ridiculous. It's honestly ridiculous. Now, our regular season record means absolutely nothing here. The Cooks regular season record means nothing. Brett Hull, you only scored 75 goals. We are 100% winning a Stanley Cup this season. The 2 years he has scored a goal per game, we haven't seen success. So now that he's below a goal per game, we get our revenge against the LA Kings. It is time to light these boys up. 15 goals a game. No, we're going to win this matchup. All right, 1 game at a time, 1 second at a time, 1 minute at a time. We have to beat the LA Kings. We have a 3-1 series lead. Can we advance to the second round for the first time in this video? We finally did it. So we got our revenge on the LA Kings. Now it's time for us to get our revenge on the Winnipeg Jets. They beat us earlier in this video, but not now. This postseason run is all about getting revenge. We're going to take down the Kings. We're going to take down the Winnipeg Jets. Then we're going to take down the Edmonton Oilers. We're going to get revenge on all the teams that beat us so far in the postseason. All we have to do is win 1 more game here, and we're not winning game number 6, so we got game 7 elimination. There is no reason we should be in game 7 elimination against the Winnipeg Jets. Our team is significantly better than theirs, but somehow this is a 1-goal game, and now we're off to overtime. How are we off to overtime in game 7? I'm sick and tired of this. What else could we possibly need? The Winnipeg Jets are beating us in 7 games. I'm starting to hate this franchise. Now, I shouldn't say I hate the Winnipeg Jets, but in NHL 25, I heavily dislike this team. Not hate, just heavily dislike. Marty Brodeur had 7 wins, 2 shouts, and 930 and a goals against of 2 exactly, and we still couldn't win? No, I don't care who wins the Stanley Cup. We might have to add 3 players here because that's ridiculous. Like, Marty Brodeur really put up a 930 and a goals against of 2 exactly, and it still wasn't enough. Nick Lidstrom, I guess we're bringing you to the team. So Nick Lidstrom, we're bringing you to the team here. Are you going to be the missing piece for us? 94 overall Nick Lidstrom. Save the defense. 16 victories is all I ask. Nick Lidstrom, Ray Bourque, Chris Chelios, Phil Housley, Dan Boyle, Sergey Gonchar. Help us win. The defense actually isn't the problem here. Like, Marty Brodeur put up a 930 and goals against of 2 exactly. We need to score goals here. And it's kind of funny because considering we have an offense of basically all 90 overalls, we still can't score. How does that work? You know what? It's time for us to pull All Reliable. All Reliable works, and 95% of the time. It used to be 97% of the time until it didn't work last time, so we're now down to 95% of the time this works. Marty Brodeur, you were amazing this season. We didn't have a goal per game scorer. We're taking on Colorado in the first round. What could we possibly do to increase our odds of winning a Stanley Cup? Well, it's simple. We simulate the entire postseason in one take. We do not stop. The face cam stays off. We just watch it simulate. When I do this, we win 95% of the time. We have a 3-1 series lead on the Colorado Avalanche. We're taking them down 6 games. We're moving on to the second round. We get to take on the Dallas Stars. We might be dropping the first 2 games, but we're going to be responding. We're winning this one in 7 games. That series was way closer than it should have been, but we're moving on. We're taking down the LA Kings in a sweep. We're in the Stanley Cup final. We have the Boston Bruins in front of us, the only team that could stop us, and they're not going to be able to stop us. The Cape Breton Cooks Stanley Cup champions. With this victory right here, this method is now up to 96%. It doesn't quite get to go back up to 97. It's at 96%. No, but it's actually kind of ridiculous. How is it 96% of the time I simulate the entire postseason with the face cam off, we win a Stanley Cup? Brett Hull, 17 goals, 15 assists, 32 points. Joe Sakic, 12 goals, 19 assists, 31 points. It doesn't make sense whatsoever. Goaltending wise, Maurice Brodeur must have had incredible numbers. You're telling me he had a 16-5-1 record while posting an 896 and a 308, but when he posted a 930 and a goals against of 2, we didn't make it out of the second round. This is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Marty Brodeur, ain't no way you're winning with an 896 and a 308, but we couldn't win when you posted a 930 and a goals against of 2. Nah, this game really just doesn't make sense 90% of the time.